Good morning, Steve Reed in Chicago with the results of the USDA September crop report. Kind of as expected a little bit, the USDA actually lowered the corn yield 168.2 from 169.5, but it's still above the average trade guess of 167.2. That's about a 13.8 billion bushel crop. The trade was looking for something a little under 13.7. In the beans, 47.9 yield is down from 48.5 and in line with most of the average trade guess. As far as the crop, it's a little over 3.6 billion bushels. The trade was looking for something a little bit under 3.6 billion. For 19 and 20 carryouts here in the United States, corn 2190, average guess was 2 billion. And in beans, 640, the average guess was 660. And in wheat, 1014, and the average guess was 1016. Globally, they dropped the corn world carryout 1 million tons to 306, but the trade was looking for 303. And they dropped the bean carryout 2 million tons to 99.2, and they raised the wheat carryout 1 million tons to 286.5. At this point, beans are up about 19 cents, and I think there's some sense that number one, export sales report was good this week, and number two, we may be closer to a deal. This week, China gave in on dropping some tariffs on 16 U.S. imports, and the U.S. delayed 15 days the October 1 implementation of tariffs on Chinese goods. The concern, though, is that the trade representative was the one who had to convince the president to do this. So we'll have to see if China actually comes in and buy beans. Right now, for November, Brazil's cheaper. There is no December-January offers out of Brazil for China. And the interesting thing is that the USDA kept the Chinese imports at 85 million tons and U.S. bean exports for 1920 at 1775. So maybe someone told the Secretary of Agriculture there could be a deal, and that maybe we should keep the numbers unchanged. The other things that we're trading, first of all, is weather. U.S. weather should be warmer than normal over the next 10 days. And then we could see a little bit of cold shot for the northern plains and northern Wisconsin and Minnesota. This is a little bit of difference in weather forecast than we've seen the last couple of days, so we'll have to kind of watch that. There's about 6 million bean acres that needs to mature after the first frost date in order to achieve the production numbers that USDA set today. We also note that South America, Brazil, Argentina remains dry and could still remain dry for the next 2 weeks, which means that we're going to have to watch the weather down there. It's still early. They're just starting to plant corn, but we'll have to watch the weather down there. And finally, funds. Right now short 80,000 beans, 7,000 wheat, and 152,000 corn. What will they do with those positions? Will they cover those positions in case there's a deal? There's no real weather issue yet. And export demand remains relatively low, except export sales today were better for beans than expected. So we're trading around the 880 area in November beans. Maybe tough to trade over $9 unless we have a weather problem in South America or a deal. We're trading around 360 in December corn. That's probably a little low, and maybe we could actually see a little bit of a bounce either post-harvest. And then we're trading around 480 in Chicago wheat, and that's probably a good medium price for wheat. As always, these are my thoughts, not those of ADM or ADM Investor Services. Have a safe and profitable trading day. I would also like to take the chance to thank everyone who was thinking of me during my recent hospital visit. Doing better now and hope to be back 100% soon. Thanks.